On today's show, the Nets come up short during their tank battle against the Wizards. I'll tell you why I don't have a problem with Brooklyn's approach during the game and how the win will impact their draft lottery outlook on today's episode of Locked On Nets.
You are Locked On Nets, your daily Brooklyn Nets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in to Locked On Nets. I'm Erik Slater. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. And on today's episode, the Nets come away with a 121-115 win during their most anticipated tank matchup of the season, which was a matchup with the Washington Wizards on Easter Sunday at Barclays Center. And my top takeaway from this Nets win, I don't have a problem with Brooklyn's tank approach to this game. And at the end of the day, I feel like it is what it is. Like, the win is what it is. If I'm evaluating Brooklyn's tanking approach to this game, I can't really get on them too much. I can't really say that they should have done too many things differently. Maybe I have a couple of small quibbles, but there are some Nets fans on social media following the game who are out for blood. They're very angry. And look, I understand that. But the Nets did a lot tank-wise in this game, and I can't really have too much of a problem with the approach. I mean, MPJ, Yegor, Day'Ron, Danny Wolf, Noah Clowney, Zaire Williams, Terrence Mann are all out for this game. That's nearly the Nets' entire rotation. I mean, how much more do you really want them to do? And I mean, they ran into a Wizards team that was on the second night of a back-to-back and frankly plays with embarrassingly bad effort for large stretches of games. I mean, they say that front offices tank, players don't. I was questioning that second part, the players don't tank part, during the early half of this game on the Wizards end, because the defensive effort out of the gate from the Wizards was just brutal. I mean, there was like 4 or 5 possessions during the first half of the first quarter where they were just letting Nets walk to the basket. They were literally doing like the easy pass and almost like a turnstile and just letting Nets players go to the rim. So I tweeted it out during the beginning of the game. I don't know if the Nets are going to have any way that they can lose this game because the Wizards are on the second night of a back-to-back. They had 8 available players. They only played 6 for the overwhelming majority of the game. And the effort was just so bad and the players were playing so bad that I was like, I don't know if the Nets can lose this game. And yet the Nets still did have a chance to lose, a very real chance, because they got some really fortunate tanking bounces during the second half of this game. I mean, the Nets were down 105-101 with 3.5 minutes left in the game. But Nolan Traore scores 3 huge buckets on the ensuing possessions. Jalen Wilson hits a big 3, and that was the difference down the stretch of this game. And the anger that I'm seeing from Nets fans on social media surrounds Nolan Traore and Jalen Wilson being in down the stretch of this game in the final minutes. And me personally, I can't get there. I really can't get there with being like too mad with the Nets for those decisions and that approach. I'm not going to get mad about a rookie closing a tight game during a tanking season, especially when the rookie hit some huge clutch shots, played a big role in getting a win during a tight game. You want him to get those learning experiences. You want him to feel the pressure of those moments. I'm not going to get too mad about Nolan Traore playing down the stretch of this game. I mean, the Wizards had Will Riley closing this game. Will Riley finished the game with 30 points and 5 steals. They had him playing during the final minutes. And I mean, the Nets had Trey Scott, who's a 28-year-old on a 10-day contract, closing this game. So I can't get too mad with the approach. If I'm going to talk about any quibbles that I had with the way the Nets approached this game from a tanking standpoint, Jalen Wilson being in the game to close the game. If you want to say, if you're a fan and you say that, look, Malachi Smith or Tyson Etienne or someone else should have been in the game instead of Jalen Wilson because Jalen Wilson was the Nets' most efficient offensive player during this game, I can hear you. But at the end of the day, like, am I going to get that mad about Jalen Wilson closing a tanking game? My biggest quibble in this game overall with the Nets' approach would be that Josh Minott even played in the game. And that says that much about where we're at with the tanking, stuff. The fact that I'm saying a 23-year-old guy like Josh Minott, that I would have any kind of a problem with him playing in this game. But I think if you're a fan and you're looking at what is the different decision that the Nets could have made in this game that I think wouldn't be ridiculous, like sitting a rookie like Nolan Traore down the stretch, Josh Minott playing in the game would be the thing I point to, because Josh finishes with 15 points on 6 of 11 shooting in 18 minutes. And he's a guy that the Nets have sat in other tanking games. And I do not think that he was a guy who had to play in this game. And, that's really the only major quibble that I would have. But if you're a fan, that does have a problem with the approach and you don't think that the Nets did enough to tank in this game, I mean, I'm not going to tell you that you're completely wrong, because at the end of the day, I mean, they were out tanked. They were out tanked by the Wizards in this game. Even though they had a chance to lose, they were down 4 in the closing minutes. They were really lucky to be down 4, in my opinion. I mean, they got some really, really good bounces. I mean, they had a couple of layups just that were wide open, rim out on them. Will Riley had an and one in the final 5 minutes of this game where he literally he threw the ball up after he got fouled, and it hit like the top corner of the backboard and bounced off the rim a couple of times and went in. The Wizards got really hot. They shot 70% in the third quarter of the game, going completely ISO ball and just playing, completely off script and just hitting some like long 2 mid-range jumpers. I mean, the Nets were fortunate to be even down during the fourth quarter, during the final minutes of this game, but they were out tanked by the Wizards. I mean, the Wizards had only 8 available players in this game. They only played 6 of them for the majority of the game. I mean, Jaden Hardy and Sharif Cooper barely played. Those guys were their, 7th and 8th guys, their last 2 available guys. They didn't get in until midway through the third quarter. Sharif Cooper, who was one of their only shot creators who was available today, played only 3 minutes. So, the Wizards did out-tank the Nets, but they went to egregious, embarrassing lengths. They continue to make a complete mockery of the NBA. The Wizards have just frankly gone to more extreme lengths than the Nets to tank during these matchups, and that's why the Nets are 3-1 on the season against them. But as I said, that has come with the Wizards just completely making a mockery of the league, and the Nets still did a ton tank-wise in this game. I can't get on them too much for not making a complete mockery of the NBA, for not benching rookies during the closing minutes of a tight game. As I said, in my opinion, it is what it is. Like, they didn't get a couple of bounces down the stretch of this game. It didn't go their way, but they still did a ton. They sat nearly their entire rotation. They came away with a win, but this win does cast some serious doubt over where the Nets' floor is during the tank race. So what is their most likely landing spot in the draft lottery standings? What do they need to happen to finish in the best spot? I'll answer that after a quick break. Spring is a natural reset point, and if there's one thing that can quietly cost a business money, it's messy communication. Miscalled, scattered text, no clear thread of who said what. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2 with over 3,000 reviews, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses. It lets your entire team share one business number, so you never miss a call, text, or opportunity. The part I love, everything lives in one clean thread: calls, texts, voicemails. The whole team sees the conversation, so nothing falls through the cracks. And the AI summary saves serious time by logging calls and highlighting the next steps automatically. It just makes your business feel more organized and responsive. Make this a season where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Coming back from the break on today's Locked On Nets episode, following Brooklyn's 121-115 win over the Washington Wizards. And I went over in the first segment why I don't have too much of a problem with the way the Nets approach this game. It is what it is. They came away with a win, but still, that win does cast some doubt over their fate in the tank race, in the draft lottery standings, where they are going to finish. And if you look at the outlook of the tank race after this game, the Nets now have 2 more wins than the Wizards with 4 games left to play. So in terms of the #1 spot in the draft lottery standings, that's it. Like, I don't see any way that the Nets get up to #1. The Wizards have that nearly wrapped up, or at least have finishing ahead of the Nets wrapped up. And then the Nets are 1 win behind. They have 1 more win than the Indiana Pacers, who are in second, and they have 2 fewer wins than the Utah Jazz and the Sacramento Kings, who are tied for 4th. So the Nets lottery range right now is 2 to 5th. Like, that is the lottery range. Obviously, falling to 4th or 5th would be the doomsday scenario. But you look at it, for the rest of the schedule, the Nets have they have the Bucks, they have the Pacers, they have the Bucks, and they have the Raptors. So they have a really easy remaining strength of schedule to close the season. They do have an opportunity during that game against the Pacers because they are 1 win behind the Pacers. But I'd say right now the goal for them should be remaining in the top 3. The highest they're going to get is 2, but staying in the top 3, where all of the top 3 teams have equal odds of the #1 pick, 14%, equal odds of being in the top 4, 52.1%. That should be the case. And this win over the Wizards does make it so there is some questions surrounding whether they're going to be able to do that. Because as I said, they have 3 games coming up. Their next 3 games are all against teams that are bad and tanking. The Milwaukee Bucks, 2 games against them. They are soft tanking with Giannis Antetokounmpo sideline. The Pacers are obviously tanking, and the Nets are going to play them. And you look at it, I said the Nets are 2 wins, have 2 fewer wins than the Jazz and the Sacramento Kings. So their magic number is 3. If you're talking about remaining in the top 3 of the draft lottery standings, the Nets need either 3 losses or they need 2 losses and a win from both the Jazz and the Kings in their remaining 4 games. Any combination of that will get them to clinch top three odds in the draft lottery standings. So from the Nets' perspective, to control their own fate, they need to lose 3 of their remaining 4 games. And that's not going to be easy to do because the remaining matchups that they have and the strength of schedule that they have is so easy. So the Nets are going to have to go to some lengths. Like if I'm the Nets, I'm not playing Nick Claxton or Zaire Williams for the rest of the season. Noah Clowney, you could also put in that conversation. Like they need to go to extreme lengths to try to maintain this, because falling out of the top 3, it would be pretty bad. Like that would be a pretty rough look for them given where they were at. They just need to do whatever they can to try to stay in those top 3 odds. And I said they either need to lose 3 games or they need to lose 2, and they need the Jazz and the Kings to win 1. Because if the Nets finish 2-2 over their last 4 games, and then the Jazz and the Kings both lose out, which is a real possibility, if they're tied, it goes to a coin flip. Like that is the tiebreaker. And you don't want to be in a spot where you're in a coin flip and you could potentially fall to the 4th or 5th lottery spot. Like that would frankly be a disaster. And if you look at, the Nets' remaining strength of schedule, the remaining schedule, I said, it's the Bucks, Pacers, Bucks, Raptors. You look at the Jazz, they're closing the season, Thunder, Pelicans, Grizzlies, Lakers. So the only game I think that they have a chance to win there is, you'd say the Pelicans and the Grizzlies. I guess they have 2 games that they have a chance to win. I'd say the Grizzlies is the more likely one out of that. You look at the Kings, they finished the season with the Clippers, Warriors, Trailblazers. Those are their final 4 games. Steph Curry, I think, is coming back for the Warriors. So it's going to be hard. The Kings have been playing their veterans. That's something the Nets have going for them. And so the Kings aren't taking that hard. You either need to lose 3 games or you need the Jazz or the Kings, as I said, to win 1. So the Nets are going to have to take some matters into their own hands. I mean, because you can't count on the Jazz or Kings winning one of those games. I mean, you could say Jazz against the Pelicans and the Grizzlies. Those are winnable. The Kings, maybe they can squeak out a win over the Clippers, Warriors, Trailblazers. Maybe they can get one of those, but you can't rely on that. So with the Nets, with these schedules, with these games on their schedule coming up, the Bucks, the Pacers, the Bucks, they're going to have to continue to do what they did during this Wizards game. They're going to have to operate in that way and maybe even go a step further. Maybe they do have to bench a guy like Nolan Traore or Jalen Wilson or whoever down the stretch of the game if those guys are hot. Like they really need to try to finish in the top 3, because that's all you can really ask for. Like all you need to do, all that I think Nets fans can be asking for at this point is them finishing in the top 3. Obviously, if you're 1, your floor is 5, 2 it's 6, 3 it's 7. But if you're in the top 3 and you have the best odds of getting in the top 3, getting in the top 4, having that number 1 overall pick, that's really all you can do. And the Bucks actually I think won today. I know Giannis Antetokounmpo is out. The NBA is looking into an investigation with some of his comments about him being healthy to play. There's conflicting messaging going to the league from Giannis and from the Bucks, so we'll see how they handle that. But the way that the Nets handle these remaining games is going to be interesting. And the Pacers are actually playing right now. They are tied with the Cavaliers, so they're actually beating the Cavaliers by 1. They're going to end up losing that game to the Cavs. But the Pacers, as I said on previous episodes, are in an interesting situation, because the Pacers don't have to be concerned with whether they finish 1, 2, or 3. All they have to be concerned about is winning in the top 3, which is the same thing that I'm saying, as the Nets in comparison to where the Kings and where the Jazz are. After this game tonight, assuming that they lose to the Cavs, the Pacers are going to have a 3-win cushion on the Kings and the Jazz with 4 games left to play. So all they have to do is make sure they don't win more than 1 game. So if they lose tonight, if you look at the Pacers' remaining schedule, they have the Wolves. They're going to lose their next game also. All they're going to have to make sure is that they don't lose 2 out of their final 3 once they get to that Nets matchup. So you can make an argument that maybe they won't have to tank as hard as the Nets do in that game, because they're going to be playing the 76ers, the Pistons, their final 2 games of the season. They'll probably come away with losses in those final 2 games, even though the Pistons have already clinched number 1 seed. So I'm getting into a very convoluted kind of a breakdown of the draft lottery standings. But the bottom line is that the Nets have 3 games against really bad teams remaining on their schedule. They have to make sure that they don't win 2 out of their last 4, and they're going to have to go to the same kind of extreme lengths in terms of ruling guys out that they did in this Washington game, and maybe even take it a step further with some more in-game manipulation. So we'll see if they do that, what lengths they take. But I do think that the Nets still have a good chance to finish in the top 3 of the lottery standings, which is all that I think fans can really be asking for. Last thing I want to close this out on is talking about some of the in-game performances. I want to talk about Nolan Traore, who finished this game with some big clutch buckets. Also, some answers I got from Jordy Fernandez before the game about his rookie season. And then Josh Minot, some of the other Nets guys who played in this one. So we'll get into all that when I close out Locked On Nets after a quick break. The NBA playoffs are here, where every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. Guys, what you'll like about it, you can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets back if your first bet wins. The app makes it easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, and matchups all in one place. And during the playoffs, that extra insight really matters when you're looking at stars, role players, and key moments. It just makes the entire playoff experience more engaging from start to finish. Guys, we got a lot of developments surrounding the NBA to close the season. The race for the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, the Thunder versus the Spurs. You want to get in on the action surrounding either of those teams in the remaining matchups. You can bet their lines every game. You got the MVP race, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Victor Wembanyama, those two going head-to-head. You got most improved players. You got a ton of NBA awards. You can bet on those lines. You can bet on in-game stats. You can bet on all of it. So head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Guys, it's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can be face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents got uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's a relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. Coming back from the break, closing out today's Locked On Nets episode following Brooklyn's 121-115 win over the Washington Wizards. And I want to talk about Nolan Traore, because Nolan Traore is the biggest reason why the Nets came away with a win in this game. And that might be frustrating to some fans that the Nets got a clutch performance that led them to a win. But I've said all season that if you're going to win a game, if you're the Nets, you want it to come with some, big-time rookie contributions, with some young guys showing promising flashes. And Nolan Traore did that in this game. So I don't think that you can have too much of a problem with it. I mean, Nolan finishes with 23 points, 7 assists, 3 turnovers, 7 of 18 from the field, 5 of 11 from 3, 4 of 4 from the free throw line. He plays 28 minutes. This is a career high, 23 points, 5 made threes for Nolan Traore in this game. I think some Nets fans might say that Nolan, you can't make the threes against the good teams where we're not going to win anyway. You have to make them against the Wizards where, we really don't want to win this game. But at the end of the day, Nolan Traore had 3 clutch buckets in this game. He stepped up. He, had some big composure down the stretch. I think he operated in a pretty calm and collected way in the closing minutes. And Nolan, before this, you look at it, he had those 3 buckets to close the game. I said he finished 7 of 18 from the field. Before that, he was 4 of 15 from the field before he made those last 3 shots. So the resolve, the confidence that he played with in the closing minutes, I think was big. And I've talked about Nolan Traore on my last episode and some of his struggles as of late. And, going into this game, you look at it, Nolan hasn't really been efficient from a scoring standpoint from any point on the floor. I mean, he was shooting 44% at the rim, 40% from the mid-range, and 31% from 3. And tonight he had some struggles early, but he knocks down 5 threes. He had a big driving layup in the closing minutes of the game as well. I just think it was nice to see him have some of those moments down the stretch of a game. And I'm not going to get too mad at the Nets for, closing the game with a rookie. It is what it is. As I said, I don't think you can quibble too much with that. Other performances that I want to point out, I talked about Josh Minot earlier, but, Josh finishes this game with 15 points, 6 of 11 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3 in 18 minutes. And the thing that stands out to me is Josh 1 of 5 from 3, but he shoots 5 of 6 from 2 in this game. And that has been a big development and something that I've been watching, because Josh is obviously a guy who the main thing that he's doing is three-point shooting offensively. Like, he's not a natural on-ball creator or off the dribble guy or any of those things. He's really good in transition. But in this game, he's 5 of 6 from 2, and he's shooting like 88% at the rim, this season with the Boston Celtics and with the Nets. So I think that some of the stuff that he's been able to do off of the dribble, I think has been encouraging. And I think that that's been nice to see. And I think that the defensive effort that he brings to the game is just really noticeable. I mean, he's a guy who plays with a high motor. He has a lot of energy. He plays with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. So that was nice to see. Another performance that you want to point out is Drake Powell in this one, 13 points, 5 of 10 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. Nothing great. I mean, 1 of 3 from 3 in this one for Drake. You don't want to see that, but 5 of 10 from the field. He shoots, 4 of 7 from 2. That was good to see. Alongside Nolan Traore and Jalen Wilson, Drake had a big driving layup in the closing minutes of this game. And then last guy is obviously Jalen Wilson, finishes with 19 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 turnover, 6 of 9 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 5 of 6 from the free throw line. Jalen hasn't played that much this season, but when he has played, I think that he's had some nice moments. I mean, like, he's a guy who you're kind of reaching like a decision point with him for the Nets, because he's going into his 4th season next year. He's a 2nd-round pick. I don't really think that he's going to be anything with this Nets team, but you look at it like he's shooting 36% from 3 this season. I mean, that's something, but he is shooting, 38.6% from the field. You know what his limitations are as an on-ball guy. So it was a nice performance from Jalen Wilson, but it did come, against a Wizards team that is tanking, and a Wizards team that, frankly, like, they got hot from a jump shooting perspective, but they played terrible in this game. I mean, the fact that the Nets had a chance to win this game was really just based on some luck. I mean, the Nets went cold from 3 for an extended stretch. They started off the game 6 of 8. They finished 15 of 40, and, Nolan Traore and Jalen Wilson hit, 3 threes in the final 3 minutes. So from the, second, third, first half of the 4th quarter, the Nets went extremely cold from 3. The Wizards, you look at it, they had 23 turnovers, leading to 37 Nets points. They missed 10 free throws. They attempted 9 fewer shots than the Nets. Like, they played terrible. And the Nets, they came away with a win in this one. As I said in the first segment, they did a lot from a tanking standpoint, and they got some big contributions from Nolan Traore down the stretch, and that was the difference. And it is what it is. What are you going to do? But that's all I got for you guys on today's episode of Locked On Nets. If you guys do not already, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Nets on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, whether Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you enjoy my content, take a second right now, smash that like button, leave a comment, leave a 5-star review. Anything you can do to engage is much appreciated. And that's got a day off, and they're going to have the Milwaukee Bucks on Tuesday. Big tank matchup, so I'll have coverage of that and more when I'm back tomorrow talking more Brooklyn Nets basketball.